All right, it's August 6th in the year 2026. Welcome to the latest installment of what I now call Colorado Vortex. In addition to Outs of the Box TV, .substack.com, there's a few of you that I've wanted to add your email to that other Substack so you can come to respect my years of kung fuing the New World Order and the dark side, which is now preparing to consume us and our children. This is not a joke. It's not something you should turn away from as a parent or a human being. You need to prepare yourself for what's taking place. So I'm back in Salida, and I've been here about an hour or two. I spent some time in Crestone, and I continue to have these unfortunate situations in which the police are called in response to my powerful voice, which is clearly by now we can see we have witnessed many of you that have been watching me for the last year or so, and it's almost been a year, have seen the police called for merely speaking. And it literally is that street preacher scene from the movie They Live, which many people refer to as a documentary. And there are so many things in that movie that represent our world today. Okay, so when it comes to Crestone, I am filled with, from some of the few people that I've talked to, and I have tried to avoid a lot of people in the last 6 days. I really want to make it a full 7 days in isolation, not going to the coffee shop, bearing the heat, meditating, doing martial arts, walking around the North Crestone Trail, walking around the little bridge there with the screaming trolls under the bridge, quite literally, as well as the crazies and the meth heads that like to go up North Crestone Trail, 950 that is, for methamphetamine sorcery. And let me tell you folks, especially those of you that are in denial about white supremacy, this is what you get in spiritual towns when you don't have actual diversity. You have people that are way too relaxed with Barb and Jeff going up into the woods and doing weird things and actually bringing down the energy. I'm the guy, actually, the one who actually knows things, the one who actually wants to organize a real meetup that's not based on a clique, the one who's exposing human trafficking. Okay, and the one that's also talking about a potential Chinese-Russian invasion of the United States years before it becomes cool for the president or somebody else to do it. I stood up for the people in Costilla County, for their right, even if they were scumbags, to live off the land. You can say that as an agent of God, I have had my fingers in all kinds of pots. And by the way, as I'm speaking right now, and how long have we been going? About 3 minutes? She's already leaving, and they're in another room. So what it is, what people don't understand, when they don't understand the nature of energy in reality, is how a person like me can go into a certain place and create alarm just by speaking. That they will call the authorities just to make sure everything is safe because they've never heard a man before. They've never heard a man turn into a bear and go, ah! They've never heard someone declare that the return of the gods is manifesting right here, right now in this body. And there were a lot of things that were said, some recorded, many of them not, that were affirmed to the universe as to who I am and the reckoning that's coming to the people who didn't see me as a human being. Now remember, never forget, let's just throw the rock and have a good time here, lady. Have another beer and we'll just change the topic to something comfortable. Would you like a sandwich? As we now talk about how they don't need me and I don't need them in Crestone, Colorado when it comes to the Vortex Festival. And they certainly aren't prepared for me and my megaphone. I mean, me and my little snow cone machine. But anyways, so they have this Vortex Festival, and they're going to talk about the quirky, the paranormal, the supernatural. Yeah, but you're going to have a white nationalist there, and no one's going to know that Joe Weiner is a white nationalist but me because I'm the only one that's going to care that Joe Weiner talks to Reddit's creations, that Joe Weiner believes that there's a white genocide, that Jay Weiner is a former guest of mine. Confirmation again that this is a clique that doesn't want me to contribute to the elevation of the Crestone consciousness. But there's more. Much, much more. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Take time with that sandwich, by the way. It's going to be a long night. By the way, Sukanara at any point in time can come back to me. Sukanara, Sukanara. Sometimes I would call my cat Cinderella in a feminine voice like from the movie Cinderella, Cinderella. No, no. That cat has moved on. But why has that moved on? Why is the cat gone? Why was I stressed? Why did I bounce from Crestone? Gee, what happened last week? Now, for those of you that watch the news, for those of you that are on Facebook, how many of you saw the story about the woman who pulled over with the motorcycle helmet still on, who knocked out another woman? Or maybe it was a man. Did you realize that it was on the same day? Probably not. Maybe you didn't even care. Here's another one for you. How many times did I tell you? How many? How many Aaron Mesh from Willamette Week? How many CV, whatever the hell your name is, from Portland Mercury? How many times, Alan Best, have we been down this road? When there are solar flares, people punch harder. Now, don't tell me that there's nothing that you can absorb from that while they're, of course, flipping out, anger, but also anger at injustice. That could also rise Kundalini style spiritually. Hell no, we won't go back into your ovens. Right? So you got to understand that the solar maximum also drives resistance to tyranny also. And that's what I'm here to do with you, is to tickle, to fondle, to ignite, to enlighten that part of you, woman, who really doesn't want to continue to be a slave to him, to her, to them. So I am honored that some of you are willing to listen to me for a while, but when I tell the truth, when I'm a potty mouth, when I'm in bad boy mode, when I'm telling it like it is mode, it's amazing watching them drop like flies. Bye-bye, director at Crestone Eagle. I'm amazed you stuck around as long as you did, but there will be a correction. The great John Milton is still alive and well. He is not dead. Another person who is perceived to be a great man, who looked more like a cowboy, he's the one who passed on. The woman coming in crying. So I realize that some of you may have been a little bit confused, going, what the hell? You're saying you're a genius, and you misrepresent, misinform us about John Milton's death? Get the fuck out of here. So for here and now, I'm going to be in Salida. Not that they have a gym for me to work out in. No, 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 that's too much masculinity. And you know what? Working out at the park with weights might actually trigger a police response. Of course, just to make sure that you are safe, just to make sure that you are fine. Now, I'm telling you, cops, one thing. Well, I'm also telling people in general. These types of people calling on people was not happening at this rate to me years ago. And it's happening right at the point in time in which people like me, people that look like me, are being assaulted around the world. Um, the police need to understand that they're dealing with mentally ill people in many cases that call the police and file false police reports because they're hallucinating. And so in the last week, the goal was to stay out of the town park, stay out of the cloud station, stay up on the mountain, and yell and scream openly, because I was under the understanding that it's okay to do that in the forest. I've already retreated from Salida. I've retreated from the town of Crestone. And the camp ranger there, when you go up the road there, that works for the federal government, he heard these speeches about me feeling that the whole world had turned against me. And that when we cross over to the other side, we're going to take back this planet. This planet belongs to us. I am a real man in a world of mutants. Now, furthermore, I would go on and say other things for days, for days, for days. No one close enough to really hear what I'm saying but a federal agent who's there, who's being paid, hence the expression, get a job, you bum. He's there to get paid, making sure that the people that don't have money to camp can't park at the river. That's his job. So I can pick up for days as I'm up there on it's where there's a gate there. by the bridge on 950, right before, the road becomes dirt road. And it's the $10 night campsite. Right there at that spot, where the campers are on BLM to the left, and then you have Sacred Grounds or Sacred Passage by John Milton to the right. That's that area there. That is like a gateway. And while I'm walking there and I'm walking back and forth, I'm being pumped up with a ton of energy. I think you can feel it now. Here, go ahead. Take a bite. In any case, at any rate, I'm cognitive, guys, that I can get so pumped up from that energy that I'll yell more. Now, segue. I'm going to miss you, Missy, Native American woman who works for social services, and I find it unfortunate that you cannot tolerate my free speech. You're not going to break my heart. What you did when you not just left the newsletter, but you won't even talk to me at the DHS office. You're hearing me speak about these experiences, and you're sitting there at the table going, you're forcing me almost in a situation, Alex, to choose between you and law enforcement and you and Sylvista Health, which clearly I'm saying to you did not do their job, didn't offer me therapy. But if you're sitting down and you're talking about it in the public, their main concern is their image. Their main concern is that your feelings will hurt. They're not concerned about helping you with your problems. Here, let's get somebody on the phone to talk with you about what this woman did to you in Texas. Spiritual assault, verbal assault, attempts to provoke a physical confrontation. Awaiting her package in the mail any day now. It's going to be arriving probably by Saturday. And as I explained to somebody today, we went over again. I talked to Giovanni on the phone. I went down there to Texas because I was being harassed when I was on my own property. Now I got to deal with this reality of not only knowing that this was coming, that as I grow older, as an ethic person, the hate machine would be up, and then everywhere I go, it would just be like a repeat of dealing with people that have taken on the Matrix program. So it's very easy for me to see it coming in advance. Plus, there's the psychic epiphanies and the podcasts and the free flow automatic talking, which is in my history on YouTube. And then, of course, late night on Facebook in 2010, talking about the future. You haven't even read that yet. I have a very long history of being right about the world, guys. So I deserve to be listened to. I deserve to be respected, and I deserve to be harbored. And in some cases, straight up hidden in the ground. You need to take a closer look at what's happening in this world. And I've been making these videos for a long, long time to really reach out to local community and not just show you, prove to you that I am a great revealer of a great many things. Now, it's time for you to start getting some, 1 2 1 2. I'm literally in town all the time. And not just that business, there's another business, Salida Currents. So, but unfortunately, they are still in the newsletter. But unfortunately, most of the time, all the time, when I email directly anybody on the newsletter list, they usually unsubscribe if they don't just, for the most part, outright ignore me. And so if I want you to stay on the newsletter list, it sort of is like goes without saying that I'm not to send personal emails on top of it and see if you're interested in actual communication. Because then apparently in 2026, you're feeling threatened and pressured. Thus, furthermore, I will not go to Sedona. unless there is the right liaison out of those of you that I picked for this mission. And you have an interest in this. And so you can email me at solarstorm333 at proton.me. And there's also a new phone number that I'm going to be using. I can give it out now, but I don't expect for it to be ringing. And that's not necessarily me complaining, but noting the sign of the times. So you can text me anytime if you like. You can surprise me. So I set up a Google Voice number, and that will allow me to talk via headset without using the cell phone. And so the cell phone that I've had for a while, it is soon going to be cut off come September. So my phone number is 719-256-0358. That's 719-256-0358. That is my Google Voice number. All right. So yeah, today after 6 days in Crestone, the Swatch County came out, and apparently I was on private land without even knowing it. And so the yelling is what attracted them to. The thing is, there are disturbances there, and I have taken the blame, or I have been profiled in the period in time in which their own people, they don't want to look at it that way. They'll never look at it that way. Their own people, not an immigrant, not a non-white person, but their own people that have been driven crazy by their own society. And they won't want to hear that either. In fact, why don't you go ahead and unsubscribe now if you can't handle that, honey? Their own people continue to unravel, but it's still in the nature of the white man and white woman to project then onto the others for the harm their own people are doing, or that from their dads or brothers. I've learned this from that which brought me into this world, and I've learned this from others. It's a fact. Now it's time to remind you why. Nearly 10 grand was even given to me to begin with by a woman in 2015. Somehow or other, she found my channel, and then she was watching me megaphone the Cuddle House in Portland, Oregon, where women basically make men pay them for affection. Know what I mean? Haven't heard of it? All right, sure. Nice try. Unsub. Bye-bye. See ya. Exposed. So we're talking about people expected to pay money to cuddle for affection. Yeah, everything is normal, folks. All this is normal, and it's the way of the future. Surely this isn't going to result in human trafficking, murder, stalking, threats, psychic attack, spiritual attack, and worse. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Obviously, I'm being facetious. That business doesn't even exist anymore. Now, don't tell me that that lady, Stephanie, stayed in high spirits. Have you been to Portland? Have you met Portland men? Have you met Portland women? Until the answer is yes, you don't know what you're dealing with. So, Little Miss Puddings, Stephanie, also interviewed by CNN, she's representing to me this dark side that is keeping me, and also to this day, in the streets and ignored by the media when I do everything for you women. By the way, there's another unsub. Bye-bye, bye-bye. There's more this week, isn't there? Because it's getting truthful. And we all know you can't hear the truth because the truth is powerful and the truth might heal you. And you got to be real serious about deprogramming if you would consider to stay on this newsletter. And I'm out of line by thinking most of you would want to stay on this newsletter because I'm really intense. Well, who am I to think that I can tone it down to get your respect? If this energy that I've got, I'm born with. There's no changing it. We can put me in a dress and the same energy will be there. We can put me in a restaurant, have me pouring water going, hello, sir, master. We understand that I am pouring you tap water. But can I tell you about this wonderful bottle of Pellegrino that we have for $17.95? As we wink at his girlfriend and wife and go, you know you want the water. You know you want the good water. And I'm thinking the whole time as I'm working at Ruth Chris Steakhouse as a busboy, do these people know anything about Oregon water being better than other places? And furthermore, if the water is contaminated, maybe try not to be part of the system that's scorching the earth. Just a thought. If the water's so bad that you need Pellegrino. Maybe you should go off grid. But no, they don't. They don't go off grid. They continue to blame the others for their problem as white supremacists in America naturally go along with official stories like 911. Only it's not so funny, and the joke's on them. And so that's really what's going on, isn't it? Years ago, people would respect a guy who was intelligent enough to not be under mind control. Almost sexy. In some cases, very sexy. In some cases, hubba, 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 hubba. I mean, have you seen the way that Patricia, the Nordic woman, used to look at me back in the day? I mean, woman, you need to control yourself. You have enough kids. You see, there was a point in time where Patricia could not control herself. And then what happened on the way to hell is they begin to think like the system. They begin to like Donald Trump. They begin to like all things far right. They begin to like fake news. They begin to like money. They begin to really like money. And it's like, I saw a lot of people back in the day that were acting like maybe they were flirting with the idea of waking up. And the system came and went, oh, look at that little pretty piece of ass. Let's turn her into our marketer for the Microsoft Corporation. So then Patricia went from nobody to a CEO at Microsoft. Kind of coincidental that she was hanging out with me for a number of years, don't you think? Probably not. But when you look at it with the proper eyesight, you'll come to understand and you will believe all these different people that I've known over the years, especially these skanky Portland women like that another unsub, and don't you ever come back. They all gain something from my presence. And don't you think that cat's any different? I'm a person who can make somebody money if they're moral and they're not corrupt. The problem is, I have not yet met those business partners. The Lord did not give me the oration skills of a god or a king to ask you if you want fries with that. Does that make sense? Good, good. I'm glad it makes sense. And so, what it all comes down to is the truth is that they're going to pull their authority card and they are going to do everything in their power to get me moving off their mountain. And as I'm moving off their mountain, and as I'm packing, because I'm mistakenly on private property, which is what, right next to campsites and BLM? What the hell, man? I mean, when we talk about trust fund babies, when we talk about the privileged and entitled, this is next level with what Maurice and Hannah Strong did. But they're looked upon as great, great people. Yeah, great, great people by who? By real Sufis? Or by the white people in Crestone who have benefited from the control structure, from the trust land structure that they, in fact, established. Now, another person, don't say my name. Whatever, lady, not like you told me anything that was really all that revealing. But she's always going off on how she is playing a key role in keeping the cartel out of Crestone. And the whole thing is to keep that mountain there, a sacred mountain. And she's talking deep, deep subjects about the history and how there was a beam of light that would go up to the heavens and, which she would call the Illuminati, or her understanding, very low level, of course, very low level understanding of the control structure. To just say Illuminati. Oh, have you seen the Illuminati seal outside the cloud station at the parking lot where the little aliens used to be propped up by sticks? So it's interesting. It's interesting. But you can go down that rabbit hole and go down this rabbit hole and go down that rabbit hole. And before you know it, you're just going from rabbit hole to rabbit hole like a chicken with your head cut off. Because at the end of the day, we ask ourselves, do we or do we not have a meditation circle where we're holding hands in the town park, pushing back the darkness of evil, of racism, of war? What we have are people that live in Crestone that don't want to have anything to do with even being aware of those things. And so she can tell me, be careful with what you say, because they'll kick you out of town They'll ostracize you. They'll this, they'll that. So the point is taken. Why? And I'll tell you why. And let's talk about it now. I am not a person to be seen as some wandering homeless jerk bum loudmouth who just figured out how to use Substack. For those of you that have been with me for a while, there's a long history that I've had coming to the aid of you. People like you. And in many ways, I've tried to come to the aid of others who don't look like you, who you do not look like, who come from the land of the bombed, who come from the land of the East. Okay, it is obvious that the activities that I involve myself in, doing it free of charge, not engaging in clickbait to make money, has led to a situation where I don't have enough money to rent. And what I've been doing on a sometimes daily basis, but I took the last week off, is using this Substack to get my story out there in hopes that, in the letters to the editor or in the contacts, the spiritual temples, or the women of my mother's background in Sedona, for example, also New Agers, that maybe there could be some healing with my mother through them, for example, through them accepting me where she could and won't, where she could not, where she can. But there's a theme in this, and I think you're picking up on it. And it's a troubling truth that a lot of people wouldn't want to admit. The truth as to why I'm not getting that phone call. The truth as to why I'm not getting the text. The truth as to why that email is not being returned. Now, while the people themselves want to go, there's something not quite right about you that we're not relaxed around. The reality is, it's the same group of people that are the most allergic. And allergic is the word that comes up. And it isn't necessarily an allergy that results in a sneeze, but a sense of, like extreme fear, paranoia, and apprehension that is now not grounded in any basis in reality, but just sort of an automatic, like, hair going up on the back of the neck when I walk in, that type of thing. Okay. Now, when you walk in my shoes and you camp where I camp, and you deal with just a sea of people, when you just walk up on them and they're doing that, that's not the fault of the person who's the strong man, who fights human trafficking, who's the psychic, who has values. It's actually those things that are contributing to those people who don't have those things acting like they're about to get busted. Probably because they are, probably because more powerful than that which you might think. In other words, it's like this is blood sport. It's like this is kickboxer, where I need professional training from a master, where you're no longer messing around. It's no longer amateur hour. It's literally Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport, with his legs being pulled apart as he screams and he screams and he screams. I believe that was actually Kickboxer. Possibly Bloodsport too. But the point is this. In the same way that he screams, so do I. When you live in this world, and you cannot even get close to the homeless because they blame your people for their poverty, that's torture. So it was clear to me yesterday, and it's clear to me now. Even though I have a lot of energy right now and I'm doing this podcast, the deep research that I need to do, the deep writing that I need to do, maybe even the deep reading, the posts on the website, the this, the that, and the other, it very much requires long-term housing stability. By the way, it's day 11 without the cat. And so yesterday, I did confirm with the Saguache Housing Authority that they did receive the required paperwork to push forward an application in which housing may potentially come available sometime in September. They're building it right now. And I got in like the first 30 or first 40, but then again I got them other paperwork later, almost forgot about it. And in this whole process, I would be emailing certain people with DHS in Salida, and they would not do their job. They would not do anything. They wouldn't even care. And so, like I said, I'm taking this very, very well, and I decided that I would not trouble any of you with any uploads for at least a few days. But this is what it's looking like. So the goal is here in Salida, where I will be camping later on tonight, is to go through my whole car, look for things that I've misplaced, which includes a number of cameras, get various devices charged, organize the vehicle, uh, ground and camp, watch a movie or two. Today is Thursday, right? It's fairly hot outside. So come 3 o'clock, I'll leave this room, which is right here. It's a private room here at the Salida Library. And I will maintain a strategy of getting hydration, getting water in me, making sure that I eat food. I was just eating some fried chicken not too long ago, hitting up the food bank, staying on top of my paperwork. And when my passwords arrive in the mail, anytime now, I'm going to be, working on websites, downloading older videos and re-uploading them, so on and so forth. I'll tell one final story and then take off. So yeah, there's this guy named Tony who's in Crestone who drives a red van. And when I went back to my campsite yesterday, this is before someone else called the cops, he was saying that that was his spot. Well, I thought it was BLM land. Whether it's a spot that he has the permission to stay on it, um, but it was the way that he was threatening me. And I knew that he's armed, and while he is a Native American, he's got all this military insignia. And so it's very important that people understand that when people, like in Crestone and other places, when they do allow people in, from what I've seen, and they do like to hang out with them and bang them and have sex with them and bring them into their inner circle, which is basically what he is. Tony has the right to basically park in Crestone. Well, other people have to park in town. And he's in with the Peace Patrol. And the Peace Patrol are a lot of white bullies. And yet he was in the military. So I'm noticing a pattern with the type of dark skinned people that the Crestonians like, give jobs to. They're usually militant. And that's a better way to put it than right wing. They have a militant, almost bully type of an energy and demeanor to them. So I've been warned many, many times, don't get ostracized from Crestone. But here's the thing, I am ostracized from this world. That's why I ended up there to begin with. Okay? When white people, okay, that are accepted somewhat in a community or are friends, they're on a different level vibrationally than the person who's dealing with race-based trauma stress. From that perspective of having that pain, there's no rationalizing with modern white people. People like me will never be good enough for the Crestonian Eagle or Crestone at all. Will always be conspiracy theorists and will always be in their nature to think lowly of us when we have so many things to offer. Now, most disturbing at all, I can't complete this broadcast without also getting into this. Regardless of your opinion on it, but hopefully you're not for it, pay close attention to things that are happening in Europe right now, with the women wearing hijabs being assaulted and being beat up, with their freedom of religion being taken away. Now, while that's taking place, to women that look closer to me than perhaps you or someone else, think about this. In Crestone, there's a number of people that rub elbows with Alex Jones types and others, including one woman with Alex Jones was right all over her Facebook. He was about 80 years old. I got to say, looks like a reptilian. Not an actual reptilian, but she's got this almost cold-hearted demeanor to her. And that does go along with Alex Jones programming, as it is right now, as opposed to the past, where there was some good stuff. And so they'll all be walking around, listen carefully now to what I'm saying, and don't let this be you. They're walking around with the privilege as American white women with basically what is the equivalent of a hijab. And because they're white and they're in Crestone, nobody is coming up to them, raping them, beating them up, or smashing a glass over their head. but yet they have the privilege to walk around the street, walk up and down like they're goddesses. Well, are you then, as an American New Age white woman who likes Alex Jones, going to hold Alex Jones accountable then for attacking women in hijabs in other places? Are you ever going to get on the internet and ask AI, what is the spiritual tradition or belief of putting on the gown over the head, including as a man or a male? Because some of them do it here too, and usually white. It is a belief system about protecting the head from demons. And by the way, the hair is also believed to be an antenna. So take a look at this. And that's all from just a few minutes with a $3 Dollar General pair of scissors. There's no need for Angelus from Mesquite, Texas to cut my hair anymore, or to hold on to my passwords anymore, or to insult my nature and my soul anymore. It's time to move on. But as I move on from her, as I lose my cat and the world gets meaner to me, as these women at DHS and other places at Sovista Health refuse to do their job and even talk to me about issues that their culture and society has done to people that look like me, it's now me versus the world. With nobody on record from the Substacks reaching out to me. So the show will go on, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care.